It's day 47. It's day 40. It's day 47 of the 1 year Bible reading. I told y'all we had to do this more early today because it's V Day. It's Valentine's Day, and I have plans today. So we have to keep it moving today. Um, but that doesn't mean we're going to rush our reading today. But let's go ahead and go over what we're going to be reading from today. We're moving through the books. We're moving through our chapters. You feel me? 4 to 6 days worth of reading. So our first piece of reading is going to come from Mark 141, and this quote at the very top here. Mm, Not sure how clear that quality is, but it's going to be Mark 141. Move with compassion. Jesus reached out and touched him. I am willing, he said, be healed. And that's from Mark 141. But for the rest of our reading, we're going to be reading from Leviticus. We're going to be in Leviticus today. Leviticus 1 1 through 3, ending on verse 17. Going over into Mark 129, 2 through 12, going into keeping reading the Mark today. Psalms 35, 17 to 28, and then wrapping up with Proverbs 9, 13 through 18. But thank you for joining me, and welcome to day 47 of the 1 year Bible. So let's get reading into Leviticus, and let's go back to where we finished. We finished Exodus. We finished Exodus and Matthew, and now we're in Leviticus and Mark. Okay. Now Leviticus 1 through 3, ending on verse 17. So the Lord called to Moses from the tabernacle and said to him, give the following instruction to the people of Israel. When you present an animal as an offering to the Lord, you may take it from your herd of cattle or your flock of sheep and goats. If the animal you present as a burnt offering is from the herd, it must be a male with no defects. Bring it to the entrance of the tabernacle, so you may be accepted by the Lord. Lay your hand on the animal's head, and the Lord will accept its death in your place to purify you, making you right with him. Then slaughter the young bull in the Lord's presence, and Aaron's sons, the priest, will present the animal's body by splattering it against all sides of the altar that stands at the entrance of the tabernacle. Then skin the animal and cut it into pieces. The sons of Aaron, the priest, will build a wood fire on the altar. They will arrange the pieces of the offering, including the head and fat, on the wood burning on the altar. But the internal organs and the legs must be first washed with water. Then the priest will burn the entire sacrifice on the altar as a burnt offering. It is a special gift, a pleasing aroma to the Lord. If the animal you present as a burnt offering is from the flock, it may be either a sheep or a goat, but it must be a male with no defects. Slaughter the animal on the north side of the altar in the Lord's presence, and Aaron's sons, the priest, will splatter his blood against all sides of the altar. Then cut the animal in pieces, and the priest will arrange the pieces of the offering, including the head and fat, on the wood burning on the altar. But the internal organs and the legs must first be washed with water. Then the priest will burn the entire sacrifice on the altar as a burnt offering. It is a special gift, a pleasing aroma to the Lord. If you present a bird as a burnt offering to the Lord, choose either a turtle dove or a young pigeon. Hey, what's up, Skittles? What's up, bro? I see you're back. Did you like the things you saw, and do you finally understand why I record? Wait, I'm super confused by that, Skittles. That doesn't make any sense. Hey, what's up, Phantom? I don't know what a Sigma is, brother. Hey, what's up, Eden? Uh, the priest will take the bird to the altar, wring off his head, and burn it on the altar. But first, he must drain his blood against the side of the altar. The priest must also remove the crop and the feathers, and throw them in the ashes on the east side of the altar. Then, grasping the bird by its wings, the priest will tear the bird wide open, but without tearing it apart. Then he will burn it as a burnt offering on the wood burning on the altar. It is a special gift, a pleasing aroma to the Lord. When you present grain as an offering to the Lord, the offering must consist of choice flour. You are to pour olive oil on it, sprinkle it with frankincense, and bring it to Aaron's sons, the priest. The priest will scoop out a handful of flour, moisten with the oil, together with all the frankincense, and burn this representative portion on the altar. It is a special gift, a pleasing aroma to the Lord. The rest of the grain offering will then be given to Aaron and his sons. This offering will be considered a most holy part of the special gifts presented to the Lord. If your offering is a grain offering baked in an oven, it must be made of choice flour, but without any yeast. It may be presented in the form of thin cakes mixed with olive oil or wafers spread with olive oil. If your grain offering is cooked on a griddle, it must be made of choice flour mixed with olive oil, but without any yeast. Break it into pieces and pour olive oil on it. It is a grain offering. If your grain offering is prepared in a pan, it must be made of choice flour and olive oil. No matter how a grain offering for the Lord has been prepared, bring it to the priest who present it at the altar. The priest will take a representative portion of the grain and burn it on the altar. It, excuse me, it is a special gift, a pleasing aroma to the Lord. The rest of the grain offering will then be given to Aaron and his sons as their food. The offering will be considered a most holy part of the special gifts presented to the Lord. Do not use yeast in preparing any of the grain offerings you present to the Lord, because no yeast or honey may be burned as a special gift presented to the Lord. You may add yeast and honey to an offering of the first crops of your harvest, but there must never be o- but these must never be offered on the altar as a pleasing aroma to the Lord. Season all your grain offerings with salt to remind you of God's eternal covenant. Never forget to add salt to your grain offerings. If you present a grain offering to the Lord from the from the first portion of your harvest, bring fresh grain that is coarsely ground and roasted on the fire. Put olive oil on this grain offering and sprinkling it with frankincense. The priest will take a representative portion of the grain moistened with oil, together with all the frankincense, and burn it as a special gift presented to the Lord. If you present an animal from the herd as a peace offering to the Lord, it may be a male or female, but it must have no defects. Lay your hand on the animal's head and slaughter it at the entrance of the tabernacle. Then Aaron's sons, the priests, will splatter its blood against all the sides of the altar. The priest must present part of this peace offering as a special gift to the Lord. This includes all the fat around the internal organs, the two kidneys, and the fat around them near the loins, and the long lobe of the liver. These must be removed with the kidneys, and Aaron's sons will burn them on the top of the burnt offerings on the wood burning on the altar. It is a special gift, a pleasing aroma to the Lord. If you present an animal from the flock as a peace offering to the Lord, it may be a male or a female, but it must have no defects. If you present a sheep as your offering, bring it to the Lord. Lay your hand on its head and slaughter it in front of the tabernacle. Aaron's sons will then splatter the sheep's blood against all the sides of the altar. The priest must be present the priest must present the fat of this peace offering as a special gift to the Lord. This includes the fat of the broad tail cut off near the backbone, all the fat around the internal organs, the two kidneys, and the fat around them near the loins, and the long lobe of the liver. There must These must be removed with the kidneys, and the priest will burn them on the altar. It is a special gift of food presented to the Lord. If you present a goat as your offering, bring it to the Lord. Lay your hand on its head and slaughter it in front of the tabernacle. Aaron's sons will then splatter the goat's blood against all the sides of the altar. The priest must present part of this offering as a special gift to the Lord. This includes all the fat around the internal organs, the two kidneys, the fat around them near the loins, and the long lobe of the liver. These must be removed with the kidneys, and the priest will burn them on the altar. It is a special gift of food, a pleasing aroma to the Lord. All these fat, all the fat belongs to the Lord. You must never eat any fat or blood. This is a permanent law for you, and it must be observed from generation to generation, wherever you live. Whoa, my goodness. Am I going to stream later? Probably not. We're it's V-Day though. It's V-Day, bro. Me and the wife are going on a dinner date, and then we're going to a paint and sip tonight. So a dinner day and then a paint and sip. So I'm probably gonna be busy for the rest of the day. So we're gonna do our reading. I posted some videos on the channel, some shorts for y'all entertainment in the meantime. But yeah, probably no stream later on the day. Probably be a little busy. Excuse me. So Mark, 129, 129 through 2, ending on verse 12. So after Jesus left the synagogue with James and John, they went to Simon and Andrew's home. Now Simon's mother-in-law was sick in the bed with a high fever. They told Jesus about her right away. So he went to her bedside, took her by the hand, and helped her sit up. Then the fever left her, and she prepared a meal for them. That evening after sunset, many sick and demon possessed people were brought to Jesus. The whole town gathered at the door to watch. So Jesus healed many people who were sick with various diseases, and he cast out many demons. But because the demons knew who he was, he did not allow them to speak. Before daybreak the next morning, Jesus got up and went out to an isolated place to pray. Later, Simon and the others went out to find him. When they found him, they said, "Everyone is looking for you." But Jesus replied, "We must go on to the other towns as well, and I will preach to them too. This is why I came. So he traveled throughout the region of Galilee, preaching in the synagogues and casting out demons. A man with leprosy came and knelt in front of Jesus, begging to be healed. If you are willing, you can heal me and make me clean, he said. Moved with compassion, Jesus reached out and touched him. I am willing, he said. Be healed. Instantly, the leprosy disappeared and the man was healed. Then Jesus sent him on his way with a stern warning. Don't tell anyone about this. Instead, go to the priest and let him examine you. Take along the offering required in the law of Moses for those who have been healed of leprosy. This will be a public testimony that you have been cleansed. But the man went and spread the word, proclaiming to everyone what had happened. As a result, large crowds soon surrounded Jesus, and he couldn't publicly enter a town anywhere. He had to stay out in these secluded places. But the people from everywhere kept coming to him. When Jesus returned to Capernaum, several days later, the news spread quickly that he was back home. Soon the house where he was staying was so packed with visitors that there was no more room, even outside the door. While he was preaching God's word to them, four men arrived carrying a paralyzed man on a mat. They couldn't bring him to Jesus because of the crowd, so they dug a hole through the roof above his head, then lowered the man on his mat right down in front of Jesus. That is ridiculous. Seeing their faith, Jesus said to the paralyzed man, my child, your sins are forgiven. But some of the teachers of religious law who were sitting there thought to themselves, what is he saying? This is blasphemy. Only God can forgive sins. Jesus knew immediately what they were thinking, so he asked them, why do you question this in your hearts? It is easier to say to this paralyzed man, your sins are forgiven, or stand up, pick up your mat, and walk. So I will prove to you that the Son of Man has the authority on earth to forgive sins. Then Jesus turned to the paralyzed man and said, stand up, pick up your mat, and go home. And the man jumped up, grabbed his mat, and walked out through the stunned onlookers. They were all amazed and praised God, exclaiming, we've never seen anything like this before. Yo, what's up, Jordan? Can you be admin? You gotta get your rank up, bro. Mr. Core, yeah, I saw them. Appreciate it, appreciate it. Did you like the shorts, bro? You gotta get, and also Jordan, you gotta get your rank up, bro. We have to have a 93 grade point average to become an admin on the channel. But we have enough mods for the YouTube, so fielding I'll be fielding events for mods for other things that we have in store for the channel. What's up? What's up, backhand? Cannon Curry is crazy. All right. Now Psalms 35, 17 to 28. How long, O Lord, will you look on and do nothing? Rescue me from their fierce attacks. Protect my life from these lions. Then I will thank you in front of the great assembly. I will praise you before all the people. Don't let my treacherous enemies rejoice over my defeat. Don't let those who hate me without cause gloat over my sorrow. They don't talk of peace. They plot against innocent people who mind their own business. They shout, aha, aha. Without with our own eyes, we saw him do it. O Lord, you know about all of this. Do not stay silent. Do not abandon me now. O Lord, wake up. Rise to my defense. Take up my case, my God and my Lord. Declare me not guilty, O Lord my God, for you give justice. Don't let my enemies laugh about me and my troubles. Don't let them say, look, we got what we wanted. Now we'll eat him alive. May those who rejoice at my troubles be humiliated and disgraced. May those who triumph over me be covered with shame and dishonor. But give great joy to those who came to my defense. Let them continue to say, great is the Lord, who delights in blessing his servant with peace. Then I will proclaim your justice, and I will praise you all day long. What do you? That's pretty funny. I appreciate that, bro. I appreciate that. Now let's get into Proverbs 9:13 through 18. The woman named Folly is brash. She is ignorant and doesn't know it. She sits in her doorway on the heights overlooking the city. She calls out to men going by who are minding their own business. Come in with me, she urges the simple. Those who lack good judgment, she says, stolen water is refreshing. Food eaten in secret tastes the best. But little do they know that the dead are there. Her guests are in the depths of the grave. And that is the end of today's verses. But and this is pretty funny about the naming of this title. Because what have I been naming all my shorts recently, chat? Taste test. All my YouTube shorts have been taste test. So taste test is literally our thing for today. You see how things just kind of like happen? You see how things just kind of like go together? Y'all notice that? Did y'all notice how things just kind of like go together sometimes, you know? Okay, but taste test. Men are easily led astray by temptations of many varieties. The taste of the forbidding is quite different from the taste of the acceptable. We are easily lured in by the promise of all that is off limits, but each compromising choice results in a bitter taste that lasts long after the rush of indulgence. In the face of temptation, we either die to self or bring death and despair into our lives. Fortunately, God is rich in mercy, and when we come to Him, He delights in restoring our peace. Receive God's blessings today. Let's read it one more time. Taste test. Men are easily led astray by temptations of many varieties. The taste of the forbidden is quite different from the taste of the acceptable. We are easily lured in by the promise of all that is off limits, but each compromising choice results in a bitter taste that lasts long after the rust of the indulgence. In fact, in the face of the temptation, we either die to self or bring death and despair into our lives. Fortunately, God is rich in mercy, and when we come to Him, He delights in restoring our peace. Receive God's blessing today. Okay, since it's love day, since it's love day, right? Since it's love day, receive God's blessing today, right? Let's go over this part of this verse. In the face of temptation, we either die to self or bring death and despair into our lives. We either die to self, self indulgence, or bring death and despair into our lives. So when you say no to temptations today, it's V Day, it's Valentine's Day, it's Valentine's Day. A lot of things happen on Valentine's Day. It's love in the air, but a lot of other stuff happens too. So, will you say no to those temptations today? That's all I'm saying. Some of us have some things that we want to keep too close to us. So, are you going to give up the things that you want to keep close to us for the world, or will you say no to those temptations? So, we're going to leave y'all with that today. Taste test. Taste test. You don't want to taste of those, though. You feel me? You don't want to taste of that. You feel me? You don't want to taste of that. You do think you do, but you don't. But this has been today's reading of the One Year Bible. We got into the new chapter today. We got into Leviticus today. And we also kept reading out of Mark. So we just heard of Leviticus today, day 47 of the Bible reading. And we got into Mark. We are on our second reading of Mark. We're going to keep reading on Mark and keep reading Leviticus tomorrow because they keep going on. And then tomorrow we'll do a discussion of the chapters that we read recently. But I hope you guys enjoyed today's reading. I have to like do all the things I got to do to get ready for Valentine's Day today with the wife. So hope you guys enjoyed, and I hope you are having a great and wonderful V Day. You feel me? A great and wonderful V Day. Now let's hit this outro for y'all. We are got that limitless score, baby. I appreciate you. I might even love you, but I'm for sure glad you woke up today. Happy Valentine's Day. If nobody told you today, man, I love you, bro. Sis, homie, sister. What my wife friend say? Bud. I love you, Bud. You feel me? Y'all have a great one. I mess with y'all the long way, and have a great Valentine's Day. If you having a great one, if you don't have no V Day, bro, it don't matter, bro. I mess with you. I mess with you. You have a great one, and I'm gonna see y'all tomorrow. Peace.